Hello everyone, and welcome back to our Bible Overview series. If you're new here, I'm glad you've joined us today. We've been exploring the Bible, book by book, discovering the love of God revealed to the world, and to you and me, through Jesus Christ. If you haven't watched the previous episode on Leviticus, be sure to check it out after this. Thank you to all who've been following along. You're part of this growing Bible family. Now, let's open the book of Numbers, the fourth book of the Bible, which tells the story of a nation in transition. The Israelites, camped at Mount Sinai, are poised to journey toward the Promised Land. This book highlights faith and failure, documenting how an unbelieving generation wandered for 40 years, while a new generation rose in faith and obedience. Despite rebellion, delay, and discipline, Numbers is a testament to God's patience and promise, reminding us that even when His people grumble, God continues to guide. Have you ever wondered why the book of Numbers was written? Why would God include 40 years of wandering, complaining, and discipline in His Word? 1. To record Israel's 40 years of wilderness wanderings. 2. To illustrate the consequences of unbelief and rebellion. 3. To prepare the new generation for obedience and faith. 4. To reveal God's patience, faithfulness, and provision. This book isn't just about counting people. It's about how God counts on His people, teaching faith through their failures and faithfulness through their wilderness. Numbers chapter 14 verse 34, And the Lord said, According to the number of the days in which you spied out the land, 40 days. For every day you shall bear your guilt 1 year, 40 years, and you shall know my displeasure. Even in judgment, God's purpose was mercy, to raise a new generation of faith. The book of Numbers has 36 chapters, divided into 3 parts and 8 sections. It records Israel's 40 years in the wilderness, their unbelief, discipline, and God's enduring patience. It's about how God leads even when His people wander. Part 1 in Mount Sinai, chapter 1 to chapter 10:10. Section 1. First census and setting in order. 1:1 to chapter 4:49. Chapter 1:1 to verse 54. Census of the first generation. God instructs Moses to count the men of Israel, establishing order and readiness for battle. God organizes His people for purpose. Chapter 2:1 to verse 34. Camping and marching order. Each tribe is assigned its position around the tabernacle, centralizing God's presence. God leads their journey. Chapter 3. Levites' census and redemption of the firstborn. The Levites are set apart for service in the tabernacle. God appoints a holy people. Chapter 4. Duties of the sons of Kohath, Gershon, and Merari. Each Levitical family receives specific responsibilities. Every role in God's service has importance. Section 2. Consecration of Israel preparation, 5:1 to chapter 10:10. Chapter 5. Dealing with unclean and unfaithful people. Laws for purity ensure the camp's holiness. God calls for clean, pure lives. Chapter 6. Nazirite vow and blessing. A vow for dedication is described for those wholly committed to God. Holiness requires commitment. Priests bless Israel with God's protection and peace. God favors those who walk faithfully. Chapter 7. Offerings at the completion of the tabernacle. Each tribe presents offerings in celebration. God delights in unified worship. Chapter 8. Lamps and cleansing of the Levites. God commands purification of His servants. God's light must shine through His people. Chapter 9:1 to verse 14. Passover and the cloud of guidance. Israel kept the Passover in the wilderness just as the Lord commanded, a reminder of His deliverance and unfailing love. And above the tabernacle, the cloud of God's presence rested. When it lifted, they moved. When it stayed, they remained. God Himself guided every step of their journey. Chapter 9:15 to chapter 10:10 Camping, setting out by commands and silver trumpets. From the day the tabernacle was raised, the cloud covered it by day and glowed like fire by night. When the cloud lifted, Israel set out. When it stayed, they camped, following God's leading step by step. Then the Lord commanded 2 silver trumpets, calling the people to gather, to march, and to worship, reminding them that their journey was guided by His voice. Part 2 Journey in Wilderness, chapter 10:11 to chapter 15. Covering the first movement of Israel's wilderness journey. Setting out from Sinai, complaints, provision, rebellion, and restoration. Section 3. Grumbling leads to judgment, 10:11 to chapter 14:41. A powerful montage showing how fear, complaint, and rebellion lead to God's righteous discipline, yet His presence remains. Chapter 10:11 to verse 36 Setting out from Sinai. The cloud of the Lord lifted from the tabernacle, and for the first time, Israel set out from Mount Sinai. Tribes marched in perfect order, following the Ark of the Covenant through the wilderness. Moses prayed, "Rise up, O Lord, let your enemies be scattered. And when they rested, return, O Lord, to the countless thousands of Israel." The journey had begun, led not by maps, but by the present. Chapter 11 First complaint. Misfortunes and second complaint. Meat and fish. As Israel journeyed through the wilderness, the people began to complain about their hardships, forgetting the God who delivered them. The Lord's anger burned, and fire consumed the outskirts of the camp until Moses prayed and it stopped. Soon after, they grumbled again, longing for the meat, fish, and pleasures of Egypt. God sent quail in abundance, but with it came judgment, for they craved the gift more than the giver. Even in their complaints, God's mercy endured, feeding both body and soul. Chapter 12 Third complaint. Miriam and Aaron. Miriam and Aaron spoke against Moses, questioning his calling and authority. Pride whispered, "Has the Lord only spoken through Moses?" But God heard their words and descended in the pillar of cloud. He declared, "To others I speak in visions, but to Moses, face to face." When the cloud lifted, Miriam was struck with leprosy, white as snow. Moses cried out, "O God, heal her, I beg you." And the Lord, in mercy, restored her after 7 days. Even when His people fail, God defends those who walk humbly with Him. Chapter 13 The Spy in Canaan. Moses sent 12 men to explore the land of Canaan, the land God had promised. They returned with fruit so large it took 2 men to carry it, saying, "It truly flows with milk and honey." But the people are strong, and the cities are fortified. While fear spread among the camp, Joshua and Caleb declared, "Let us go up at once, we can surely overcome it." Faith saw God's promise, fear only saw giants. Chapter 14 Fourth complaint. We are scared. And Moses' intercession. The people cried all night, saying, "If only we had died in Egypt." Fear gripped their hearts as they refused to enter the land God had promised. They even talked of choosing a new leader and going back to slavery. Moses and Aaron fell face down before the people, pleading for mercy. Joshua and Caleb tore their clothes, urging faith, but the crowd turned against them. Then God said, "For every day you spied out the land, you will wander 1 year, 40 years in the wilderness." Chapter 15 Laws of Offerings and the Sabbath Breaker. God gives laws to restore Israel post-failure. Obedience restores fellowship. Section 4. Aaron's priesthood justified, 16:1 Chapter 19:22. Chapter 16 Fifth complaint. Korah's rebellion and sixth complaint. You killed people. Korah, Dathan, and Abiram rose up against Moses and Aaron, saying, "You've gone too far. All the people are holy." Pride filled their hearts, and they challenged God's appointed leaders. Moses fell face down and said, "The Lord will show who is His." The ground split open, and fire came from the Lord, swallowing the rebels alive. But the next day, the people complained again, shouting, "You have killed the Lord's people." A deadly plague swept through the camp until Aaron ran with incense between the living and the dead, and the plague stopped, mercy standing where judgment fell. Chapter 17 Aaron's budding staff. God confirms Aaron's priesthood. God establishes authority. Chapter 18 Duties and portion of priests. Responsibilities and provisions of priests are defined. God cares for his servants. Chapter 19 Law of purification. Red heifer. A red heifer sacrifice illustrates the need for purity. Cleansing is essential to approach God. Section 5. Dearth in wilderness. 20:1 to chapter 21:35. Chapter 20:1 to verse 13 Seventh complaint. We are thirsty. In the wilderness of Zin, the people complained once more, there was no water. God told Moses to speak to the rock, but in anger, he struck it twice with his staff. Water poured out for the people, but God said, because you did not honor me as holy, you'll not bring this assembly into the land. Soon after, Aaron was gathered to his people. His priestly garments passed to his son. Even faithful leaders face consequences when anger replaces obedience. Chapter 20:14 to verse 29 Edom Dennis passage, Aaron's death. Moses sent messengers to the king of Edom, saying, please let us pass through your land. We will not touch your fields or drink your wells. But Edom came out with a strong army and refused them passage, so Israel turned away. Then the Lord said, Aaron will be gathered to his people, he shall not enter the land I have given. On Mount Hor, before the eyes of the people, Moses removed Aaron's priestly garments and placed them on Eleazar his son. Aaron died there on the mountain's peak, and Israel wept for him 30 days, the end of a faithful servant. Chapter 21:1 to verse 9 Defeat of Arad and 8th complaint, serpent. Israel defeated the king of Arad, but soon the people complained again. God sent fiery serpents among them, and many died. When they repented, God told Moses to make a bronze serpent on a pole, and whoever looked at it lived. A picture of Jesus lifted up for our healing and salvation. Chapter 21:10 to verse 35 Defeat of Ammonites, Sihon and Og. Israel journeyed through the wilderness and asked King Sihon for passage, but he attacked them. God gave Israel victory, and they possessed his land. Then King Og of Bashan came out to fight, and again the Lord delivered him into their hands. The God who led them also fought for them. Part 3 The Second Generation. Renewal and Readiness, chapters 22 to 36. Section 6. Enemies of Israel, 22:1 to chapter 25 to 18. Chapter 22:1 to verse 40 Balaam goes to Balak. Balak, king of Moab, sent for Balaam to curse Israel. But as Balaam traveled, God warned him through the angel of the Lord, even making his donkey speak. Though hired to curse, Balaam could only do what God allowed. God's blessings always prevail over the plans of men. 22:41 to chapter 24:25 Balaam blesses Israel. Balak brought Balaam to high places to curse Israel, but every time Balaam opened his mouth, blessings came instead. He prophesied Israel's future victory and the rise of a great king. No scheme, no curse, and no enemy could overturn God's promise. What God blesses, remains blessed. Chapter 25 Israel's sin with Moab. In the plains of Moab, Israel fell into idolatry and immorality with the Moabites. God's anger burned as the people turned from him. But Phinehas rose in holy zeal, stopping the sin and ending the plague. God reminded Israel that he demands faithfulness, for his covenant is holy. Section 7. Second Census and Instruction for Second Generation, 26:1 to chapter 30 to 16, covering the new census, inheritance laws, Joshua's commissioning, offerings, and vows, all in one powerful scene. Chapter 26 Second Census of the New Generation. A new count signifies a fresh start. God prepares a faithful generation. Chapter 27:1 to verse 11 Daughters of Zelophehad given inheritance. The daughters of Zelophehad came before Moses, saying, "Why should our father's name disappear because he had no sons?" Moses brought their case before the Lord, and God said, "They are right, give them their inheritance." God values justice and honors those who seek Him in faith. Chapter 27 to 12 to verse 23 Commissioning Joshua. The Lord said to Moses, "Go up the mountain and see the land I have promised, but you will not enter it. Take Joshua, a man filled with my spirit, and lay your hand on him before the people." So Moses obeyed, and the mantle of leadership passed from one faithful servant to the next. Chapter 28 to 1 to chapter 29 to 40 Offering at feasts. The Lord told Moses to command the people, "Offer to me my food offerings, a pleasing aroma. Day by day, week by week, and through every feast. Passover, first fruits, trumpets, atonement, and tabernacles." Israel was to remember that worship never stops. Every sacrifice pointed to the one true offering, Jesus Christ. Chapter 30 to 1 to verse 16 Vows. Moses spoke to the heads of the tribes, saying, "If anyone makes a vow to the Lord, he must not break his word." God reminded his people that promises to him are sacred. Faithfulness in words reflects faithfulness in worship, for God himself never breaks his promises. Section 8. Conquest and Inheritance, chapters 31 to 36. The final movement where Israel receives victory, land, order, and promise before entering Canaan. Chapter 31 to 1 to verse 54 Lord's vengeance on Midianites. Israel defeats Midian as divine judgment. God's justice is perfect. Chapter 32 Settlement east of Jordan. Reuben and Gad choose land outside Canaan while promising loyalty. God honors commitment. Chapter 33. 1 to 49 Stage of travel. A record of their travels showcases God's faithfulness. God is faithful throughout the journey. Chapter 33 to 50 to chapter 34 to 29 Boundaries and division of the land. The Lord spoke to Moses in the plains of Moab, saying, "When you cross the Jordan into Canaan, drive out every idol and divide the land by inheritance." God set clear boundaries for each tribe, showing that his promise was not random, but ordered and intentional. Every border marked his faithfulness fulfilled. Chapter 35 Cities of Refuge. The Lord commanded Israel to set apart 6 cities of refuge, places of safety for those who killed unintentionally. There the guilty could flee and live until judgment was made. Justice and mercy met within those walls, a picture of Jesus, our true refuge, where grace protects and truth stands firm. Chapter 36. 1 to 13 Marriage of heiress and inheritance. The leaders of Manasseh came to Moses, saying, "If the daughters of Zelophehad marry outside the tribe, their inheritance will pass to others." So the Lord commanded that they marry within their tribe, to keep every promise and inheritance secure. God's plan protects what he provides. His promises never fade. Jesus in Numbers. Jesus is the bronze serpent, lifted for our healing. He is the perfect leader, guiding us to rest. He is the manna from heaven, sustaining us in our wilderness. In the book of Numbers, we see the heart of God revealed through every chapter of Israel's journey. He is faithful, keeping his promises even when his people fail. Patient, walking with them through every complaint and doubt. He is just, correcting them in love. He is merciful, forgiving again and again. He is present, leading by cloud and fire, and provider, supplying manna, water, and victory in the wilderness. The same God who led Israel still leads us today. The book of Numbers reminds us of a timeless truth. Even when we wander, God never leaves us. The wilderness is not a punishment, it's preparation. Through every delay, complaint, and disappointment, God is still working to grow our faith. He leads us through seasons of testing, to teach us to trust his promises, not our feelings. And just like he guided Israel by cloud and fire, he still guides us today by his Spirit and his word. When faith fails, his faithfulness remains. That is the timeless truth of the book of Numbers. From Genesis to Revelation, one truth shines brighter than all others. God's love never fails. He loved his people through rebellion, wilderness, and exile, and he loves you today, fully, endlessly, and perfectly through Jesus Christ. The book of Numbers reveals that the wilderness is not a waste but a time of preparation. Through challenges, God teaches trust, shapes character, and fulfills His promises. Join me next time as we explore the book of Deuteronomy, Moses' final message to the new generation ready for the promised land. Until then, stay rooted in God's Word, and remember, even in our wandering, His grace guides us home.